All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're going to look at a method that basically flips our whole idea of happiness completely upside down. It's all based on the work of Alan Carr, and it suggests something pretty radical, that freeing your mind isn't about fighting harder, it's about seeing things more clearly. So, let's just start with a question that gets right to the heart of everything. What if that constant, draining struggle to find happiness is the very thing that's actually pushing it away? I know, it sounds like a paradox, right? But stick with me, because that's the core idea we're going to unpack. You ever have that feeling like you're trapped inside a jar with a bunch of buzzing flies? That's kind of what modern life can feel like. There's this constant noise of stress and anxiety all around us, this relentless pressure that we just can't seem to shake no matter how hard we try. And what are those buzzing flies? Well, they're the things we all know a little too well. Money problems, stress from work, never having enough time. Not to mention relationship drama, health scares, and, the vices we sometimes use to try and cope with it all. It feels like we're just treading water, trying to keep our heads up. This right here, this quote from the source material, just nails the central problem. We think we have to chase happiness down, wrestle it to the ground, and force it to stick around. But the crazy thing is, it's the struggle itself that's the problem. Our own effort is what's making it impossible. Okay, so if the struggle is the problem, then what's the answer? Well, this is where it gets really interesting. The problem isn't actually your circumstances. It's not the job or the bills or the lack of time. The real enemy is a lifetime of bad information that's kind of polluted our minds. The source calls this brainwashing. And look, I know that sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie, but it's not. It's just any method that slowly changes how you see things, usually just through simple repetition over and over again. It's this quiet, everyday process that shapes our reality without us even noticing. So where is all this mind pollution coming from? Honestly, it's coming from everywhere. From our parents, who meant well, from our friends, from the entire advertising industry, which is built on it, and even from authority figures we're taught to trust. All these things paint a really distorted picture of what's supposed to make us happy. I love this metaphor from the book. It says our perception becomes like a dirty car windscreen. Over the years, all this dust and grime from misinformation just builds up, and it gets harder and harder to see clearly, to tell what's actually real and what's just an illusion we've been sold. All right, so how do we clean the windscreen? This is where Alan Carr's easy way method comes into play. Now, to be super clear, this is not a new set of rules you have to follow. Think of it more like getting a new pair of glasses that lets you finally see the world without all that built-up grime. And the whole foundation of this method, you're gonna laugh, it's just this: seeing things as they really are. That's it. It sounds almost too simple, but it is a massive shift away from that confused, brainwashed view that's causing all our stress in the first place. Now, to see how this works, especially with things like bad habits or anxiety, the Easy Way method splits the problem into two parts. First, you've got the little monster. That's the actual physical feeling, like a craving. And honestly, it's super mild, really weak on its own. But then there's the big monster. And that is the brainwashing. It's that loud, powerful voice in your head that screams, "I need this," or "I can't cope without this." The method says the big monster, that's the real enemy. Here's another great analogy. Think of a fly landing on a pitcher plant. We get lured into a trap, whether it's an addiction or just a cycle of negative thinking, by this small, sweet promise of relief. And we keep going back for that sweet nectar, not even realizing we're sliding deeper and deeper into a trap we can't get out of. So, what's our first instinct when we feel trapped? We fight back, right? We try to use the one tool we've all been told to use: willpower. But this is where the Easy Way method completely flips the script and says that's the absolute worst thing you can do. Get this. The method claims that willpower, the very thing we think is our biggest weapon, is not just useless, it's actually a hindrance. It literally gets in the way of you being free. How wild is that? Trying to solve your problems with willpower is like trying to open a door by pushing on the hinges. I mean, you can push with all your might. You can sweat and struggle and get totally exhausted, but that door is not going to open. Why? Because you're putting all your force in completely the wrong spot. So why doesn't it work? Well, for one, using willpower makes you feel deprived. It makes you feel like you're giving up something amazing, which just reinforces the brainwashing. It creates this exhausting mental tug-of-war inside your own head. And at the end of the day, willpower is like a battery. It just runs out. The whole approach is basically designed to fail.
So if fighting our way out doesn't work, then how in the world do we get free? The answer is you don't fight the trap. You just understand it. You see its design so clearly that it just doesn't have any power over you anymore. It's about seeing the illusion for what it is.
Okay, let's try a little experiment. Just look at these two tables on your screen. Which one looks longer? Just go with your gut instinct. For pretty much everyone, the table on the left looks way longer and skinnier than the one on the right. And now, for the big reveal. They are the exact same size, the exact same length, the exact same width. If you put a ruler up to the screen, you'd prove it to yourself. It's a classic optical illusion designed to trick your brain. Now go back and look at the tables again, knowing the truth. Here's the cool part. Even though the illusion is still kind of there, you can't be fooled by it anymore, right? Your brain knows the truth. And that is the entire point of this whole method. Once you truly see through an illusion, it loses its power over you forever. And that brings us right to the finish line. That belief that a cigarette gives you genuine pleasure, or the feeling that you need to worry constantly to stay safe, those are powerful mental illusions. They are just as false as those tables. The goal is to see them so clearly for what they are that they just can't trick you anymore. So, we've come full circle. Happiness isn't something you find by struggling for it. It's not a prize you get for winning a fight. It's simply a choice that becomes available to you the moment your mind is clear of all the illusions and all the brainwashing. Real control comes from clarity, not from force. At the end of the day, the key to being free isn't about fighting blindly in the dark. It's about turning on the light so you can see the trap for what it is. And that just leaves one final question. You have the key now. So will you choose happiness?